May 24, 1940, Charleville, northern France. Adolf Hitler stood over a wide oak table scattered with maps still damp from the morning air. Red and blue pins marked the speed of his army's advance, arrows slicing through Belgium and deep into France. For the first time in his life, the war he had imagined fast, decisive, overwhelming was unfolding exactly as he believed it should. The British Expeditionary Force was cornered. The French army was collapsing. Victory felt close enough to touch. And then Hitler spoke the words that would echo through history. He ordered his armored divisions to stop. Not retreat. Not reposition. Stop. At that moment, German panzer units were fewer than 20 miles from the English Channel. British and Allied troops, nearly 400,000 men, were compressed into a shrinking pocket around the port town of Dunkirk. The roads behind them were gone. The sea was their only exit. One final push, one relentless drive forward, and Britain would lose the core of its professional army in a single stroke. Inside that room, Hitler believed he was being cautious. The ground ahead was marshy, unsuitable for tanks. His generals warned of overextension. Hermann Göring promised the Luftwaffe could finish the trapped enemy from the air. And somewhere beneath those practical reasons lay something more human, a leader who had just watched his army race farther than any German force ever had, afraid to risk it all on the final move. But to the men waiting on the beaches of Dunkirk, the order would feel like divine mercy disguised as hesitation. Along the French coast, British soldiers stood ankle-deep in freezing water, staring across the channel toward a homeland they were no longer sure they would see again. Many had dropped their weapons to run faster. Others clutched rifles they would never fire. Bombs fell from the sky as German aircraft screamed overhead, tearing ships apart and turning the harbor into smoke and flame. Every man knew the truth. If the German tanks arrived, it would be a massacre. Yet the tanks did not come. Hour after hour passed. Then an entire day. Then another. On May 26, 1940, Britain launched Operation Dynamo. Fishing boats, pleasure craft, merchant ships, anything that could float crossed the channel under fire. Royal Navy destroyers burned and sank. Civilians died pulling soldiers from the surf. And still the evacuation continued. German commanders on the front lines were furious. Heinz Guderian argued that the British must be crushed immediately. Others warned that the delay made no military sense. But Hitler held firm. The order remained. By the time it was lifted, the moment was gone. Over 9 days, more than 330,000 Allied soldiers escaped Dunkirk. They returned home defeated, exhausted, and alive. Britain did not celebrate victory, it survived annihilation. The island nation that should have been broken instead hardened. Within weeks, Winston Churchill would stand before Parliament and speak words that would define a generation, promising defiance rather than surrender. The Halt Order did not end the war. It did not even change Germany's immediate dominance in Europe. But it altered something far more dangerous for the Reich. It preserved Britain's ability to fight on. For Hitler, the decision was logical in the moment, shaped by fear of risk and faith in air power. For Britain, it was salvation born from enemy restraint. And for history, it became one of the most consequential pauses ever ordered on a battlefield. Because wars are not only decided by attacks. Sometimes, they are decided by the moment a leader chooses not to give one.